guys, well, we're back for the second round, or I guess you'd say round 2, and you just see I took a really dumb line there. Kind of made a decision right at the last minute to try to shoot up to the left of that tree. And there was a little root up in there that shot my front wheel to the right and kind of T-boned that tree. So, kind of put me behind, and from kind of following the guy that's in the lead, I can still see him there. We are at a new course this week. We've never ran here before. The name of it's Buck Creek, and we're in the Bainbridge, Ohio area there, close to, like, you know, Psycho and some of the other tracks we ride there. Over 50, we're not really that far from. And as you can see, it's a little bit wet. It's definitely not as bad as round 1. You guys seen the video from round 1? Yeah, you know that one was pretty bad. So I got a good start here, weaving between some pretty nasty locust trees there, and make a lot of passes here really quick in this first lap. It was you could tell there was a lot of people that weren't very comfortable running in the mud here this week. This section right here got really nasty later in the race. One thing about this track is it definitely broke down really quick. So like this is the first lap, and you'll see up here in just a minute that just from the few rows that were ahead of me, I think we were in row 5 or row 6, but just on the first lap and just those rows, man, it was ruddy up here really bad, super quick. So by the end of the race, I mean, there were like, you know, 60, 70, 80 foot long ruts, you know, that you try to stand up and balance your way through, but 9 times out of 10 you'd end up having to sit down and kind of drag your feet. Like this section right here got pretty bad later in the race. This is the first lap, and you can tell it's already chewed up. But a lot of the track, the dirt was, I mean, it was slick, but it was good. I mean, you can see right there the clay about 2 or 3 inches down. You know, there's topsoil and then hard clay under it. So the ruts were okay in some places, but in the other places it was really greasy. Found a little slick spot right there. So this track was super tight. I mean, real tight. You'll see here that, I mean, I didn't get out of second gear that much, I don't think. I mean, a lot of this was just, you know, super tight stuff. Had a couple instances here where it looks like a couple of guys got together up here a little bit later. Same kind of deal. You got 2 guys that were kind of stopped. Probably kind of 2 ruts kind of came together. Felt pretty good early on in this race. You know, you're just trying to not get too caught up in, you know, fighting the bike in the ruts. A couple guys stopped here again. It kind of seemed like, I'm not sure what was going on there. Felt like I was able to run a pretty good pace this race. I did 8 laps in this race, and you know, the top pros did 10, so I felt pretty good with my speed. I placed 2nd in Masters, and the guy that got first, I'm not completely sure if I've ever raced him before. A couple of guys were telling me that he does a lot of races all over the place. Yeah, a little bit of a surprise there. I kind of caught up to that guy, and then he kind of cut either left or right, I forget now, and as soon as he cut, that tree just like literally was right there. I did not have a chance to get around that tree, so good thing I got new shrouds for my bike. My shrouds have taken a beating over the past couple of years, so got a couple of new ones, just don't have any graphics on them yet. As you're seeing here, though, super tight. I mean, you know, just keep finding all these turns where you got to lock the back end up and slide around to try to make the turn because it's so tight. I personally don't mind it. You know, the good thing about a tight track like this is it keeps the speeds down. Which, you know, some guys, that's good. Some guys like to run really fast, and I guess you got to be able to do everything. So it's good to have a tight track every once in a while because a lot of the tracks are a little bit more open and a little bit faster. Generally, when we set up courses here at the house where we practice, I think they tend to be pretty tight, so this is pretty good for us. So here's a little stretch where you get to maybe third gear, maybe fourth gear, but just for a second, then you just pop right back into the woods and more tight stuff. So anyway, Steve Thaxton got first in my class, and then I placed second, and then Big Dave McWilliams got third. And then I kind of was looking at my times, and I would have actually, for the laps that I ran, it looks like I would have actually placed second in senior also. So I had a pretty good pace going here. Made some mistakes later in the race. Really kind of just fighting the ruts was the main thing. Some of the roots that got exposed in the bottom of the ruts were pretty nasty. Fast little section here. Right back into the woods. Basically, what we were doing was kind of skirting the outskirts of a lot of fields. Is what we were doing, big farm fields. A lot of the area's traction was really good. So Zach placed third in pro, and he ran the same amount of laps as Levi and Nick, and then I think Trevor also. I think all four of those guys ran 10 laps. It was a fairly short course. They never did say how many miles it was, but we did run for 2 hours. So I did 8 laps in 2 hours, and like I said, the top 4 pros did 10 laps in 2 hours. This little section here got pretty bad later in the race too. There was some pretty nasty lines in there. Some single track up through here. Yeah, I don't think the quads would have had much room to pass on this track. Luckily today, most of the people that I caught up with, for the most part, pulled over and let me by, because you can see in this stuff that, you know, if you had somebody didn't want to let you by, that it would be tough to get by in a few places, that's for sure. In most places, actually. The only place it was really obvious to get by is there was a few lines here or there, like right through this section here, you might be able to sneak by, but then when you bust out into a cornfield, then that's where you got to be right on somebody so that you can maybe get past them or outbreak them going back into the woods. So still catching up to people and making some passes here. Yeah, super fun course. I had a good time on it. Grabbing a drink there. And more single track. I'll tell you what though, a couple of them roots, you see a couple of them big old nasty roots kind of hanging out into the track, and had one or two of them get me later in the race. There was one little nasty section where you could go to the right and there were huge roots on the ground exposed, or on the left there were big vines hanging hanging down into the track, and I got lucky 1 or 2 laps. There was somebody stopped there and they kind of pulled the vines out of the way so I could shoot up through there, but that was a nasty little section. Anybody that raced it, I'm sure you'll remember what I'm talking about. This all through here was really good traction. Kind of, you can tell I'm pretty much holding a pretty good pace through here on this single track stuff, and this is just a lot of fun. If some of the areas were just a tiny bit drier, man, it would have been just perfect. Not sure what happened there. I got out of the line just a little bit. Had to go around that tree. A little off camber here with some vines hanging out again. Catch up here to a pack of 3 more guys. I think what happened is maybe the 2 guys in the back there are a little bit faster than the guy in the front, because I catch this group of 3 really fast, but then when the 2 guys in the back get by the guy that's in the front right now, they kind of pull away from me, so I think they were just being held up a little bit. So I sneak by right here. This guy starts messing with his stick, and I make me a nice little pass here, and then I get up in this rut right here, and you can see I kind of lean to the right a little bit and let him back by. That's some pretty close rubbing right there. So I think this is the guy that was kind of holding those 2 other guys up just a little bit, and so I kind of give me an opportunity to sneak by him here. He kind of burns out there a little bit. Gives me an easy pass. It's that 250 power there. So getting toward the end of the course now. Again, it's not a very long course, but it was so tight, and it was pretty slick, so it was kind of slow lap times for as short as the course was. That tree right there kind of jumped out in front of me. Didn't expect that. So we cross the field, come up through here, and then we go through kind of some fun little grass track sections, and this will be a lap. A little surprised that we haven't had more bikes than what we had. I think there was like 117 bikes or something like that. And I think I placed 27th out of 117, I think is what I got overall. This was kind of a fun little section here. So we'll be ending up at the end of the lap here. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and hope to see some more people out riding the next couple of races.